And we are back, dear spectators, here on Rift Entertainment for the ESLOL League of Legends promotional tournament for Div 1 finals, as we have Dynasty standing 1-0 versus Rift SLOTHS in this best of 5. Things might be turning around as we have Ardafla coming in to sub for Les. For that, I still have by my side my wonderful co-casters of tonight, QG and Dino. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Huge win from Dynasty. Very, very strong game in my opinion in this first game, starting off against Rift SLOTHS in this best of 5. Of course, the Rift SLOTHS being off one player, not having Ardafla, the main AD carry, coming in, having LS technically sub in for him. And also, you mentioned it, Dino, we had the side selection on the sides of Dynasty, them coming from the winner's bracket. This has turned around now. Rift SLOTHS with the side selection might be able to take a stronger control into this champ select already.
I'm very interested to see what their takeaway from the game is, because that's what I like about League of Legends. It's a game where there's a lot of moving parts. You don't really have one best way to play. You also need to look at what your players experience in that game, talk with them. Are they comfortable in certain matchups? Is there something they don't want to see happening? And then the danger zone for Rift SLOTHS now is for it to spiral out of control, where you basically you're like, oh, we didn't mind that red side draft from Dynasty too much. We take blue side again. We double down on what we were doing, right? But then maybe we have Ardafla coming in, so giving us some more security on the bot side. And then if you lose that game, then you really have the mental deficit basically in the best of 5. But for now, I think nothing is lost. Both teams are really strong. I think the first 20 minutes of Rift SLOTHS were solid. They were playing around their own win condition. Sadly, they just didn't get in line fast enough. So I think they have a lot of good takeaways from that game. And I think if the past has shown us anything, this might as well just go 1-1, and we just go into the second, into the third game after 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then now Ardafla is back. So the warming up game for the Rift SLOTHS is over. Maybe they can now show Dynasty what they are up against with their full potential, and also Ali can now concentrate on the pick and ban phase as he's the coach, and also concentrate on what plays they have to do before the game, and not concentrate on his own playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely. We also did do the giveaway just now, rolled it. Congratulations to Wanderer's Blade for winning the piece. We'll get in touch with you after the stream, I would say, because currently we have some other sheep to tend to as we are headed to the second game. And well, you guys said it could turn out to be a 1-1, maybe even done in 20 minutes if the Rift SLOTHS are really at the edge of the game. I do think full roster, they come in as the favorite still. They were winners in the summer split. They were very dominant through the split itself. They won the playoffs in the end. And what they showed us on Saturday versus Pertinax in this revenge match, right? Because they lost 3-1 in their first game versus Pertinax, but now Saturday they win 3-0, and in a very, very dominant fashions. They showed what they are capable of, and if they can pull that off again tonight, it could very well be quick matches that we ever had. Of course, Dynasty also very solid, so I think if one team is able to confront them, it's Dynasty for sure.
It should be, but if you take Pertinax as a bit of a measuring stick, then you have a very bad record for Rift SLOTHS when they weren't with their full power of the complete roster. But then when they have their complete roster, they trio stomp them in like the lower bracket semis, right? Well, if you look at Dynasty, they actually had a lot of trouble getting through Pertinax to go into the finals. So it depends on what measuring stick you use, what power levels you think teams have. But I also think Dynasty is a team that tends to gain a lot from information in a best of 5. I think they've shown both in playoffs in summer season as right now in the promotion relegation tournament, where in best of 5s they're just a different beast, and if they have time to download information, if they have time to flex a couple of picks around, they actually become way stronger than they could show in best of 1. So in that regard, for Ristles dropping that first game, that's a bit of a red flag, because it was already close in summer. It was a 3-2. Like it could have gone either way in that finals to see who won it out. And even though you were really dominant in the summers with regular season, in the finals it came down to one game. And that one game might as well be the first game we saw. But at the same time, again, on the positives for the Rift slots, because we're at the Rift Entertainment stream as well, of course, is the fact that they actually looked pretty decent in the first 20 minutes. They had something to play around. They made a lot of good plays around the second Rift Herald, with getting a double charge of topside, actually getting some skirmishes in their favor. And in a lot of team fights, you saw that the gold lead was the thing, and the vision control was the thing carrying Dynasty through, because once the playmaking of both the Ari and the Akali came to fruition, the team fights almost spiraled out of control. So in that regard, for the Rift Salts, there's a lot of good takeaways. For Dynasty, there's still a lot of danger signs. Okay, we now have a lead in this series. Let's use that to our advantage. Let's download some more information, look at what Rift Salts can do with the full roster, and maybe we just bought ourselves some time.
Yeah, and also the sides are not changed. That means that the Rift Sloth and the Dynasty game is almost the same again. Now it depends on draft adaptation from the Rift Sloths, and also for Dynasty, because Ardafl is back, so this is a new game, and it's not a adaptation to the first game for Dynasty. Ardafl is coming in with a different champion pool, with some different play style, and that's also the thing that you have to take care of as Dynasty. We now played against Ale, who has a very different playstyle of Ardafla, and then you see that what are you doing now? Are you still focusing on the Zeria's Rift, or are you taking some other things like the Rallies Out, or a power pick that you can have or want or need?
I do think the Zeria always is interesting, because Ardafla, the way I see it, and I saw him mostly over the course of the split, but he is really, really, really strong on those hyper carries, like Zeri notably. He can deal a huge chunk of damage on that, of course, and he is comfortable on those picks, but I also think that in comparison to LS, he probably is also comfortable on a bunch of other picks as well.
Yeah, and looking at how Rifsal's played out the last draft, they basically threw down a gauntlet where they picked a lot of solo laners blind, and they were just looking at, okay, what are Dynasty's answers? Their trump card was at Akali late in the draft that could still get counterpicked, but they just told Dynasty, like, okay, we have this Akali in our back pocket, and Hasagi probably the only answer he still has is the Renekton, which isn't really a complete answer. This is something they could just go back to. In picks and bans right now, we don't really see any difference. It's basically the same draft being run back, but the huge difference would be that the bot side is a bit stronger maybe to play towards, even if you would still blind that Zeri. At the same time, I do want to see some tools for Lex or Shredded to have a bigger impact in the early game. So maybe that Akali is something that gets dropped in favor of something like a Camille, like the Gwen, that has worked really good for Lex.
Yeah, the Gwen, you can also flex pick her on this patch. She is also very good in jungle, at least in solo queue. But I think it looks the same as game one.
Yeah. For now, exactly the same picks. But I definitely think we're gonna see something that's more Lexi coming in for Lex. So indeed, the Camille or the Gwen, I would love to see those, because those make a huge difference, and especially with Ardafla, because I think Ardafla takes up a huge role when it comes to shot calling within the team, which is really important if you want to play around something like a Camille and Gwen split pushing their way through.
Yeah, right now we are looking at the salty run back, which is something that's normally reserved for scrims, but is gonna probably change in the second rotation of picks and bans. And even if it doesn't change, it would also attest to a lot of confidence for both teams. A, Dynasty, that they will have the same control over that early game, over the tempo of the game, and B, for Rift to be like, okay, basically, as I said before, the first 20 minutes weren't really that big of an issue. It was once they had a staggered answer to the Baron where they lost 3 people, and just to delay the Baron, that the game really spiraled out of control. If you want to see the same pick and ban, we need to see a Pyke from Dynasty, if I recall directly, as a ban, and then Rifslos would have to ban the pocket pick from Asagi, which is the top lane Zac. But this is where it might change. This is where Dynasty might be, okay, maybe we don't want to face the Akali because it did look like something Rift wanted to play around, and maybe Rifslos aren't that afraid from that Zac.
Can we assure that we are not looking at a replay?
I can assure you, because if I recall directly, Pyke was banned first and Blitzcrank second in the first game.
Zac was also banned first, and then the
so they basically switched that order, and that's all.
Maybe there was a tacit agreement between them.
Yeah. Wow.
For now.
But yeah, for Dynasty it is never change a winning team, and they are not. Are they going Cassidy top?
I mean, it's the second time.
They cooking.
It's basically the third time they hover it, because they hovered it in the first game. Now they B-Chan also hovered it, and now they're hovering it again. I don't think we're gonna cook. I don't think we're gonna overcook ourselves. Now the big question is, do we just completely run it back? Because I would actually be down. I would be down to just run it back. I mean, there's one different player on the team. For the rest, everything stays the same. We just try to play out the same scrim situation and see who gets on top. Like, my color caster heart is beating for this, but at the same time for Rift, this is throwing down a gauntlet that's really huge, because then if you lose that twice, you put yourself on the back foot, and they chicken out. They chicken out. Yeah.
They chicken.
Yep. They do.
Now Hasagi is going to play Akali with the... then it's
actually
doomed.
no way.
It's doomed.
Intrigue, let's go. But yeah, I feel like Renekton.
No way. He's not.
No.
He's not.
He's just
I'm
toying with our
touching
emotions.
No, okay, there's the
that
on.
makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then they would just debate us again.
Wow. Man,
Wow.
I would have respected that, but for Hasagi, it's something that, like, even though Lex hasn't shown a lot of Akali, for Hasagi, it's something that's so far out of left field for his champion pool. I would have been very, very surprised if it wasn't something like the Ornn. I would have loved to see his Tryndamere is Olaf. He has some really special aggressive picks that could work in this composition, because you already have a lot of fake frontline with both Lissandra and Xin Zhao and Rakan being really safe if they get against a bond. So you kind of get that leniency to be like, hey, go for your Tryndamere, go for your Olaf. But the value of Ornn on this team is just insane. Like, the fact that a team fight now becomes such a huge issue, you can't really engage on anyone. You have an easier go button, and I know one of my co-casters really loves that, but you also have that extra scaling of just having the ornaments to empower the items that you're building. It becomes harder for Rifslots to break through the team fights, and they already had issues with the team fights in the last game.
Yeah, and there's one more go button for Dynasty. You said it. They are on 5.
So basically, if Dynasty loses this one, the curse of the go buttons is finally broken, right? Because
yes.
before we started this cast, you told me you've never
I
seen
think
a team with more go buttons lose. So
yeah. If I remember correctly, my go button statements almost states through every time. If there's someone who is keeping track on that, I don't know. Maybe there's someone.
Someone in chat is just gonna be like, actually, there were these 3 games.
Yep. Oh, there you go. QG Fanboy 3000. I knew that guy. But we are headed into the game right now, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2 of tonight, a Dynasty 1 point ahead in this best of 5 series of the finals at ESLOL promotional tournament for Div 1.
Yeah, and I like the adaptation. Where you go for a salty run back and then you take away the Renekton, which is an okay blind pick, right? In every point of the draft. Basically a handshake between all top laners. Like, it's so hard to actually force a Renekton out of lane, and if you ever fall behind, it's so hard to 1v1 the champ. But you do, like, you opt for blue side yourself. You do, again, blind pick your solo lanes, and now Hasagi gets his Ornn. So for Dynasty, if you look at this draft, if you're a Dynasty fan, you're really happy because basically whatever made it so you could win the last game is still true. And now you don't have that volatility of an Akali top side where you just pick the Renekton into it because it's one of the only champions that can survive the matchup. No, now you saw the Renekton, you were able to formulate your own answer. You were like, oh, you had problem with team fights? Here's an Ornn. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, have fun, I guess, with the smack on the button. But yeah, I think late game fights will be harder. The Ornn has so much CC, and even with the Brittle, it gets more damage. With the Sandra and the Shinsao can proc it pretty easily. There's also a lot of damage coming in. We have
A lot of early aggression coming in on the bot lane as Adafla gets a huge chunk of damage out already.
I mean, this is what I want to see from Dynasty. They still have the Varus Rakan bot side. They still should have priority in that lane, so you just play forward, play for level 2 first. But actually, Riftsalt get level 2.
Nice dodge.
Again.
So,
In the
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, in the first game they also pushed to level 2. And Grizzin hooked on the wall. Now he missed.
This time he does not. A lot of damage falling in onto Crablord. You can see that there's still a lot of tension on this bot lane.
I want to track how that actually goes throughout the game, because last time you had a lead for Dynasty. It wasn't huge in the bot side, but they were able to play around it to set up for pressure around roots objectives. Ooh, this is a very good path for Humelu.
Oh, he got seen.
Yeah, he
Shredded
got
saw him.
spotted out, but I think he can still take this one as long as Crablord gets in the range.
Yeah.
Just a flash.
It's out, the hook is out, the ignite is out. Crablord comes in with the knock, a lot of damage falling onto Grizz, and he is gonna die at the hands of that ignite. That's first blood coming in for Crablord.
Yeah, as I said, you can still play that one if Crablord gets in range, because you have the power of both the Xin Zhao in an early fight towards the Jarvan. The Xin Zhao just offers a bit more, and then you have Crablord with the Rakan that can instantly join that fight to basically pop the ignite on someone, and Gryson sadly goes down. So for Dynasty, even though you lose a flash of your Xin Zhao, you're basically dictating tempo around bot side again, and it's not even close. Like, Humelu is not even that low because he gets that instant, that fast response team basically from the bot side. So Dynasty take a very good start to this game. Again, just like last game, let's see if they can keep the tempo high like they did last time.
Yeah, the tempo is the thing. That you need to consider.
Yeah.
Shredded
no.
is... Oh, nice
But it
flash.
flashes away as he gets caught, but they flash behind him to pick up that kill. RQNQ also picks up a kill now.
And now you have Varus with the red buff, and yeah, he's flashless, but they're already using that number advantage and the red buff in the bot side.
A lot of damage falling
Like
on to
Risen.
Risen. Yes, he falls as well. Ardafla luckily is able to stay safe.
Okay, so now we're becoming, like, if you look at the clock right now, it's desperation hour, where Rift slots, they are, our Defler is coming back. Double down. We go blue side, take side selection blue side, because the game last time, first 20 minutes, it was kind of okay. We don't go for the trump card Akali, but we pick the Renekton, so we take it away from Dynasty, and we still have a relatively strong top side. And with the comfort of having our Defler bot side, we are pretty confident we'll survive the early game. We're 5 minutes in, 0-3 behind, 1k gold behind, 2-0-1 lethality Varus that got a red buff. And yes, our Defler is doing great in last hits, but the gold lead is huge, and it's in the hands of a Varus that is lethality and already applying pressure, and a Xin Zhao that already has a pickaxe, which is an issue. Even though you're matching, Shredded has way more last hits, you just gave away the same game plan to Dynasty, where they can play around the dragons and force you into mistakes, and now you don't have that pressure of an Akali in the side lanes.
Yeah, the pressure is just boom gone, and this hits mental for everybody in the game. They thought, yeah, we just play the same thing with a different top laner, but for now it doesn't look like it. Humelu is just doing the mountain dragon.
Yeah.
I want to see Rift slots really aggressively posturing around this dragon, because you have no flashes in all of Dynasty's bot side, while they still have flashes up. But it seems like they are behind on tempo again, behind on the vision control, and they're kind of afraid to go in. And that's mainly because Frank is level 6. Oh,
No.
We have a tower dive on the bot lane to get the kill on Dark UniQ, but the rest of Dynasty, middle lane and jungle are following up. Preble picks up the kill on Ardaf, and Grizz now in the middle of 3 members of Dynasty is not going to be able to get away. Luckily, Shredded was far away to not get into that fray.
okay, so they over-index on a dive against Dark UniQ. They do get his heal out of there, and apparently in the minds of Rift Slots, just getting our Defler that 1 kill will rectify the 5 kills they gave away in the Dragon. And this is something that could ring true, because if you look at Dark UniQ right now, no heal, no flash. You still have a Nautilus, you still have a Jarvan that is close to level 6, so you could go for a repeat gank bot and actually catapult this area into an even game state. But for now, Dynasty 1k ahead. They love to see this over-aggression under the tower. Just find the knock-up, find the first kill, get the second one. You already got a neutral objective, so you're basically almost not wasting any resources except for the minions that you saw at the end of that replay sitting under the tower. That's something your AD carrier loses. But for the rest, smooth sailing for Dynasty. So Rift Slots, they have some opportunities, basically with no summoners up for the bot side, but they need to find this very short window of time where they can capitalize on that.
Yeah, and they also the pick they took there is to it looked like a desperation play. They took Dragon. Now we need to take something, and now Dynasty is so far ahead. They just switch up the bot lane to mid lane, and they send Hasaki bot side and Lissandra top for the pressure of the Rift Herald, so they can keep up that the gold and the pressure they have to just 4v2 here.
Yeah, and this actually throws a huge wrench into anything Rift Slots wants to do, because Grison. Oh no.
He's not gonna get out of here. A lot of damage falling onto him. Khan luckily does see it and doesn't fall himself. And in the meantime, Ardafla gets 1v1 by Hazaki. That's too bad. 7-1 for Dynasty, and they are starting to get a huge gold lead now.
Yeah, so basically what we're looking at right now is a doomsday scenario that I was talking about after the first game. When you bank too much on Ardafla coming in and saving your team and fixing all the mistakes, and then that game goes worse, that's something that can really attack your mental state in a best of 5. Because what we're seeing right now is Dynasty flexing their macro muscles, where I was talking about a short window of time that Rift Heralds maybe are able to capitalize on the fact that Dark UniQ has no flash, has no heal. But what Dynasty instantly recognizes, we play the strong side bot against with the Lethality Towers. Got the Dragon, next objective, Rift Herald. What we do is we rotate Hasagi out of top side to bot side. He can't be dove by anyone. We have the AD carry that has no summoners defend the shorter lane, which is mid lane, and we can hover around that with jungle. So we have a 3v3 in the worst case there. And then you had Frankie shove out top side and hover around that lane even more. So there was no play for Rift Heralds to be had. They take the Rift Herald on the side of Dynasty, and in the Rift Slots, they even lose their AD carry in a 1v1 against Hasagi, because their AD carry also doesn't have any flash. And Hasagi's just like, I'm an Ornn, I'm a burst mage. I can 1v1 just about anyone once I have my ult and you have no summoners. So it's a beautiful sequence of plays for Dynasty, but it's also a really bad moment in time for Rift Slots, because if their last game had an okay 20 minutes, this game has a really, really bad first 10 minutes that they still don't really have an answer for.
We have another purchase found on Rift Slots. It's Shredded that is gonna fall here from the Ignite, as Humlu also jumps onto him, and now Grizz, caught by the root, is gonna die as well. 2 more kills going over to Dynasty, and they just keep that snowball rolling.
This doesn't look good for the Rift. I think Humlu is taking over the game. With Crab Lord here, and it's again the bot side that has the focus.
Yeah, and the sad part is Humlu even has that Rift Herald in his back pocket to make this into an even worse play for the Rift Slots. It's great to see how fast they can play around the winning Varus. They now take an entire tower with him as well, so if you look at the gold lead right now, it's already 2.8k. They don't get a complete tower. Ooh, Shredded.
I was gonna say, this is starting to look really close though for the turret.
I mean, it's all. Okay, if anything fails, we at least know that Bikan can still hit those charms as if it's a point click. But the problem for Rift Heralds right now is you're looking at a gold deficit that's so hard to overcome. You're 3k gold behind, and that gold is situated in a Lissandra, a Xin Zhao, and a Varus. So this dragon might buy you some time in the game because now you stop the dragon stacking from Dynasty. But unlike last game, you didn't get a Rift Herald play in topside. You didn't really get a, like, by now they had a kill on Akali. You now have a 0-0-0 Renekton in the topside. So this game is actually worse to play out than the first one. And the first one you already lost around the Baron play that was really late in the game. I think Dynasty are showing that they are not afraid to play with tempo and that they can make the right calls. And even though they drop one dragon, and you don't really have to look at Hasagi's inventory too much because then you start to cry, they will probably still have the tempo this game and push it through your throat.
Yeah, I was looking at it, so I wanted to mention it when you were finished, and then we're like, oh,
It's an oopsie doopsie.
it's an oopsie doopsie that if you're ahead, that means you're just even. So yeah, I think Hasagi just gives Max a chance. To
Oh,
come
man.
back.
Yeah, but that's the difference between playing Akali and Renekton. Like, it's fun in games when you're Renekton, but you're the front line of your team. Yes, you come back, but you're also not really that vital for the enemy team to think about.
Yeah, and you fall off. But
And it just keeps it going. Dynasty just picking up Sloths left and right, even in the jungle. And you know, a Sloth should be safe in the jungle, but they just aren't. And they just keep on pushing, get that tier 1 on the bot lane, almost out Afla, but he's able to get on a turn. And it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, they play that dive. They know the tower is really low. They just need to get a couple of hits on it. You see that Crapboard even by himself just goes forward to get the CC onto our Daffler, so Frankie can follow up. They got the cleanse out of that as well, so beautifully played. The only thing they trade for it is a few plates in the hands of Bikan and a TP out for the Lissandra, but you just capitalize on your strong side bot, and this is becoming very worrisome for the Rift Souls because now they do have our Daffler. They go for the same draft. They expect a better result. They even pivot with the Renekton, but it's just basically a better game for Dynasty. And this is the worst position you can be in the best of 5 because now you ego check the enemy team into running back almost the same draft and you lose, which breaks your ego and lifts Dynasty's ego up to the sky. Plus, if they lose this game as Rift Slots, then Dynasty only needs one more win to close out the best of 5.
yeah, and that's a win-win situation for Dynasty at the moment. They have the ego boost, they have the mental advantage at this point, and the Rift Sloths are just trying to not repeat the first game. They're actually doing it worse, or just Dynasty doing it better. With the pressure they have, Sandra and the Shinsawa are all over the place. They are forced to be reckoned with.
Hasagi fixed his inventory.
Asagi fixed the inventory, that's also very important.
Yeah, so the problem now is last game you had the volatility of an Ahri in the side lane that already had a kill, and that made a lot of team fights a bit hard for Dynasty to play. Now Dynasty's team fights are so easy because A, you don't have the Akali, B, they have Ornn. And you're the lover of go buttons. Ornn has the most classic you either fight or die button, where he just calls a Forge God and then ruins your day. So for Dynasty right now, all they have to do is just set up around objectives like this Rift Herald, make sure that Hasagi is in a position where he either keeps Lex or Bikan out of the fight or is close to the fight, and they should always get this Rift Herald.
Yeah, we have this situation where they do start, and something very interesting, you have Bikan on the bot lane with Hazaki. Hazaki has no TP, we have a hook that lands on Dark UniQ, this might be an opportunity, klar. Staglism is out, Adafler gets the damage out, but we have a flash out from Dark UniQ to safety. Here comes the call of the Forge Gun, the situation turns around as Dynasty now rolls over Rift Sloths. They do get 3 men out, 2 kills for Frankie. Bikan, who came in late, also gets a bunch of damage, and so does Lex. Might be looking to get the kill on Crablord still, but now he's between himself and Humelu is gonna get a lot of damage, and I don't think he survives that, nor does Bukan. That's the ace for Dynasty, and the Rift Herald at that as well.
16 minutes in game, 15-1 in the Grand Canyon in the mental department. That's what Dynasty has for themselves, because this fight almost couldn't have started better for Rift Slots. They find a pick on Dark UniQ who is basically overextending. He has to burn his heal instantly on a Jarvan engage. The only problem is our Defler is a bit low, but you see that the Chains of Corruption, the play they were going for, already goes wide. So then they're trying to capitalize on this play, but you have the Ornhorn, the flash engage from Frankie, a beautiful charm from Bekan to make sure that the reactivation of the Forge God doesn't really come through. But at the same time, Hummel is just 1v1ing that Renekton that you wanted out of the draft, and you're just getting nothing out of this fight. Then you try to go for the outplays here, charm goes wide, no resets for Bekan on the ulti, and Dynasty just get a clean ace and the Rift Herald at 15 minutes in game.
And the Defensive really shows here. Ardafla was 80% health, and then he was like, nope, I'm gone. Then the Ornhood ult hits, Sandra comes from the side, flash doubles you, and you're just dead. And even Frankie's taking the Magi's here.
Yeah, he already has
It's the
10 souls
stacks.
in his book. I think that's the right play, because you're dominating team fights. It makes it so you dominate it even more. You're playing for tempo, so every fight is volatile, and you still have the Rift Herald. Right now, Rift Souls basically can't do anything. They can just only watch you take towers, and they want to hope on a mistake. Like they're basically shooting prayers into the sky. It's like, oh, please, please, please overextend. Which is something Dynasty doesn't look to be doing.
No. And they also have champs that are pretty safe on getting caught. The Shinsao just hits R. The Ornn just survives. Lissandra hits R. Dark hits R. And Crablo just has 3 dashes to get out. So getting someone caught on Dynasty's team is pretty hard. So they can play it very safe with their champs. They are safe on their own. Some are better than others. And just Dark UniQ can just poke from far away. And then just if he hits 1 Q on Ardafler, I think the fight is won. You just have to take care that you're not getting hit by anybody. Then Dynasty will make it to the second game. Or the third game.
Yeah, I mean, Dynasty definitely in driver's seat right now. Huge leads. It reminds me of what we would usually see from Rift Sloths against another team. What's going on right now? Dynasty just against all odds completely destroying Rift Sloths right now. They are in absolute control of this game. And whatever Rift Sloths try to make as a play, whatever they try to salvage currently from this, Dynasty has a perfect answer every single time.
Yeah, they're up 7.4k gold almost, and the beautiful thing here, or the beautiful irony, is that it looks like, as I said, Dynasty is really good at downloading information. Rift Sloths, they run the first game back, change up the Renekton, and it's like they created their own worst nightmare, where they basically created this hyperbolic time chamber, put Dynasty in there. It's like, nobody's really contesting us in second division. We need a team that's at least pushing us a bit. In summer finals, suddenly Dynasty out of nowhere takes them to a 3-2. At least the Rift Slots still win. And now in summer promotion, it looks like Dynasty are actually the new Rift Slots, at least this game, where they're just completely dominating you both in lane and in macro play, and Rift Slots don't really find an answer. So right now, this is what Dynasty fans can be really happy about. Now, I do think this game is a bit of a two-pronged problem for the Rift Slots, where they run the same draft back, they fall behind really early in a couple of plays, and now they're just desperately trying to find a solution.
Yeah, they do try, but Frankie is already ready, and Shredded is dead before the fight even really starts. Frankie now starting to get low, gets a bit in the back line, but Dynasty is just too strong. They pick up Risen now, and they just force that Baron. They know Rift Sloths cannot fight anymore. They just force that Baron.
Yeah, this is where basically the game seems to be almost over. You now have 14 stacks on Frankie. You do get 2 towers in the pocket of Ristal, so they get 2 objective bounties, but they again go for a contest on Baron when they have no vision, and Dynasty just repeats the playbook of the first game, but just faster, ruthless, and it make it look like Rift Slots are their plaything, because you see that Rift Slots have experience with team fights, and they know they're a strong team fighting team, so they're trying to force the team fights, but Dynasty is already so far ahead that a team fight just goes into their favor.
Yeah, and but the big problem is that the Rislovs are having is just money. They're getting hit. They're on 8k, no, sorry, 7k gold difference, almost 8k, and that's 2 items at least, almost 3 items, and that's the thing you have. You are 2 items behind. How can you force anything? Varus has 3 items.
They have 2 Ornn upgrades already.
Yeah, this is not good for the Rislovs, and it's a very good position for. Oh, there's a. And you see poke damage.
The Rislovs know they cannot fight Dynasty back at the moment.
That's 2 ultis down for Dynasty, but they get the tower for it. Still have the Baron buff. Look at the position of Hasage as well. He's basically pressuring Rift Slots away from trying to engage on Dynasty. What they get for it is another objective bounty. You saw Renekton push out topside, going back to that split push style that we see Lix have a lot of the times, but now he's on a Renekton, which is way less scary than a Camille or a Gwen on split push. So for Dynasty, they just keep in control. They can peel back to take the dragon, have a neutral objective on their exit path, and they're just completely in control of this game, getting closer and closer to that 8k gold lead, and just trying to find picks on people like Shredded right now.
Yep, and I think he's gonna explode just like he did. Ooh, nice flash, but they keep the CC going. He still is able to get out of this, but I don't think it's too much of a problem for Dynasty to have used those few resources here. They just pick up.
I mean, Frankie's flash is a bit sour, but for the rest, the ultis don't have that much of a cooldown. As you can see, Dark Unique, they got the first pick almost on their tower with his ulti. They got the second pick almost with his ulti. So in the end, they do exit with the dragon. It would have been nice for them to get that kill, but they still have the tempo in their own advantage.
Yeah, in the end, it doesn't even matter, right? But this. Oh no. Oh, that would be a good pick, but there's not no flash. So what are we looking at? We have Baron up in 3 minutes. So there's a big pause at the moment from farming, and then the next objective is coming. Maybe Dynasty is going to push. No, the Baron buff is out. So we have 3 minutes of just A-ramming.
And I don't think
a bit of split push.
Dynasty is under no time pressure whatsoever.
No.
They are like, so far ahead, there is no way Rislovs can find a way back. Look, even Humelu does something super risky and they can still turn it around and maybe... Oh no, actually they do get the shutdown on Travel Lord, but double kill for Ardafla. Is it that huge of a hit for Dynasty? They still are 6k gold ahead. Let's not forget.
Yeah, but that's a bit like we're playing baseball right now. We're trying to throw a ball really hard. This is, yeah, so no reason to make that play. You were already talking about. There's no time crunch. You're just in control. They're playing it out casually. Then you see Humelu is just like, I'm Xin Zhao. I can do this. I can just go in. I'm fine. I have my R button. Let's bait some abilities. And they try to follow up, but the problem is your AD carry, like your main source of damage that you fit throughout the game is nowhere near. Frankie has a Book of Souls to protect, so he's not going to dive under that tower after he uses ult. And then in the end you just trade 2 kills that both go to Ardafler for legit nothing, which is a bit weird to see.
Since I was the new listen, that's my take from this.
No, but the thing is, Dynasty just gave 2k to Ardafler.
Yeah.
They were 2k 8k ahead, now it's 5. That's almost 3k that Ardafla has now in his pockets, and that's an item. And he almost has Lord Dominic's finished, and that means the Ornn is not gonna be a threat. The Xin Zhao is going to take a lot of damage because he only has health, and it enhanced the damage further. So Dynasty actually have to take care at this point.
Yeah, this was 100% the worst person to give 2 shutdowns to. Because if you look at the damage profile of Rift Heralds, if it goes into a fight where you don't really collapse onto Ardefler at all, he's just gonna shred through your entire team. Well, if you gave the 2 same kills to Bikan, he still needs to be careful, still needs to find a pick with the charm. If you gave it to Lex, you don't really care about it too much. So it's basically the worst recipient of that gold. You did get his flash and his cleanse out of that fight, if you want to look at something positive. So that does give you some pressure to play around with. But at the same time, you already had all that pressure before you threw it away under the tower. So it's not something you should write home about.
No, just keep it slow. You're still ahead. It's 6k again. You're still stronger. Take the Baron. Or get Ardefler at this point. No flash, no flash.
No! Graveler is in, gets hooked, but the counter engage is there with the Call of the Forge Guard. Ardefler is not there to do the damage for his team, and with that they already take 2 people out. Riftsloths 2 men down, try to make a bit of a stand, but Legs all alone is gonna die at the hands of Dark UniQ. We've now fallen back into the base, a lot of damage falling onto Humelu thanks to that turret and a nice jump from Bikan. Dynasty overall comes out winner from this team fight, although they did suffer quite a bit of damage.
So all the gold that Dynasty bled was bled into the hands of Ardefler, and because Ardefler was pushing out mid lane and had to peel towards the bottom side river, basically Crablord jumping over that wall and then Riftsloths thinking, hey, this guy's out of position, we can collapse on it, was a mistake because the biggest part of their damage was absent from that fight and wouldn't be able to join too fast. Dynasty capitalized on that again, they read the play perfectly. They almost overextend underneath the same tower in the mid lane, but the fact that they get this engage where Bikan can't really stop it from happening and Ardefler has to run all the way around to try to join the fight basically means that Dynasty gets some kills for free. Lex then tries to find a desperation flash re-engage with Ardefler and Bikan already in the far side of the jungle of that wall, so not able to follow up too quick, and that just makes it so Dynasty, even though they messed up a bit underneath the tower at the first time, the second time they actually find a good play.
Yeah, and they also get a soul point at this point for themselves, and also with the 2 Hextech Dragons you get a bit more healing and shielding. That helps you for your champs a bit, not that much, but the soul point is important. I really like the Hextech soul. It gives you 11% damage and 11% damage reduction.
This is the last stand for the Riftsloths. Dynasty is going on to them as they also take the turret. Prism is the first to fall beautifully from Azaki as he gets 2 people. Another kill falls, it's shredded, and now they're on to the carries of Riftsloths. Lex comes late to the fray, tries to help Ardefler, but he's gonna die as well. That's the stopwatch broken, but it's no use. It's an ace for Dynasty, and with that, the second win in this best of 5 series.
Stopwatch broken, but also dreams and backs broken for Riftsloths. They thought Ardefler coming in would save the results of the first game, that they could run back almost the same draft and just beat Dynasty with it. But their worst nightmare came into fruition, where Dynasty is the monster they created. It was like a 25-3 scoreline at the end, something weird like that. You had a completely finished Magi Soul Stealers in the hand of Alessandra, and that should say enough about the game.
Yeah, a complete domination of Dynasty from draft to endpoint. It was a complete domination. They even enhanced that draft from game 1. They did more team fight and they had a better early result with a less early focused top laner. But the Ornn was ahead. Everybody could get the ornaments, so you hit them even more with the gold pocket. I think it's 1k per item, right? In gold value?
About, yeah.
Yeah, almost. So I think it's 900 something. But yeah, the just the free stats you get from the Ornn, and if you come from an early advantage into that late game, and you get these own advantages, you're just slapping.
Yeah. I mean, at that
Money.
point, those weren't gold pouches they were slapping. They were slapping Rifts through whole ass bangs at that point. The difference was so
The gold back.
huge. It's completely insane. And if Dynasty keeps that up for next game, it's already over for the Rifts because this is match point now for Dynasty. They are in the driver's seat. Well, they do not have the next choice that comes up, that size selection, goes of course to the Rifts, but in confidence, they are most definitely in the driver's seat. This is a huge factor. You've got your AD carry back, you've got you've got your whole team comp that is there, and you still take a loss, and such a huge one at that. That's gotta break your mental. Are they gonna fix it? That's the question. How are they gonna go into the next game? Maybe, guys, do you think we're gonna see some changes in Champ Select this time around?
So the problem is, and this is what I alluded to after the first game when you double down on, if we have our full roster back again, we're just gonna win this game. Is now we have a best of 5 Valhalla for Dynasty where they didn't have to show anything new. They just changed the Renekton for an Ornn. They didn't have to react to what the enemy team was doing in draft because they took away Renekton, which is a okay blue side pick, but you're already like experienced with countering that or like responding to that. They won that game twice, and now as a Rift Slots coaching staff and team, you're like, okay, let's switch it up. Let's do something different. You either change your draft or you go to red side. They didn't show what they wanted to do on blue side yet, and they're already 2-0 up. So what if they have a creative plan on blue side where you're not ready for, then you still lose trio. So then you're like, okay, maybe we should stay on blue side. You just lost that draft twice, where you can change up blind picking the Zeri, but then maybe they don't even go Varus bot lane. They go back to something that worked for them in the past, like the Kai'Sa, or take the Zeri themselves, and you're just stuck with the same question. So for Rift Slots, it's basically going back to something that works for you. Don't look at the enemy team, just look at yourself. Be like, okay, how can we play the game better? Because you can't find any answers looking at Dynasty because they just got to play the same comp twice and just beat you with it twice.
Yeah, and they can also change up the comp. If they just go blue side again and they first pick the Zeri again, you can just answer with a Kai'Sa Jace. That's so you're telling them, yeah, we are going poke, and you with the Varus, it's a site. It's the same as Kai'Sa. You can still pick the Jace, but I think the Lissandra was a answer to the Ahri. You can still, I think, play the Jace against the Ahri. It's still decent. It's not that good in the early matches, but later on, if you get some items and you get a bit ahead, the Jace is just gonna roll you, and that's also what you have to think about Rift Sloths. Frankie's a really good Jace player. What are you changing? Are you getting out the Varus, or are you going to pick the Xin Zhao first?
Yeah.
But we'll see what they will do.
What they have up their sleeves, because in any case, this is roll call for the Rift Sloths. This time around, they need to take the win, and for that, it might be a good idea to switch things up this time around. I think taking something they're comfortable with, as you said, Dino, might most probably be the best answer here, as we've said it before. It's match point for Dynasty, meaning that after this break, we'll be headed to the potentially last game of tonight, and for that, we're gonna throw the second giveaway already now during this break, so make sure to type in !Rift in the chat. Once we're in the break, it is not set up yet, so once we're in the break, you may start writing it in the chat, and yeah, be eligible then for the giveaway. Now, I would say, without any further ado, we'll get to said giveaway and a break, and we will see you guys very soon for the potentially last match of tonight after a break.